you see all those books? They all are right here, right next to me, from the floor up. These are the 28 books I have read so far in 2026. Let's talk about them. Disclaimer, I know that in 3 months, 28 books sounds like a lot. It is. But for me, it is not much. I averaged 16 books last year a month, which means by this time of the year, I've read almost double the amount that I have right here. So this has definitely been a slower reading year for me, and I love it. I started the year off with a plan for this year to read my friends and family's favorite book, all-time favorite book, to read it so that way we could discuss it, because I was finding that I had no one to talk to about my favorite books and how I wish I had someone to talk to about my favorite books. So I decided to read my friends and family's favorite books, that way we could talk about their favorite book together. So I text and messaged all my friends and family asking their favorite book and compiled a list of those. And so far, out of all of those, I've only read one. And that was my first read of 2026, which was Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. This is my mother-in-law, my husband's stepmom, also my BFF, her pick. It's just one of her all-time favorites, and she's a huge thriller reader, and I figured this would be perfect to pick up in the dead of winter, and it definitely was on theme for this season. But for me, as a not really a thriller fan, and this is like almost borderline like horror, this just wasn't for me, sadly. I still gave it 3.5 stars because I still found it very intriguing. You have these people stranded in a cabin in the woods in winter, nowhere to go because of a snowstorm, and all of a sudden they each start dying one by one. And I found that very, very intriguing, but it just seemed to be a little predictable and too gory for me. I was still wanting a thrilling winter read after reading that, so I decided to pick up no other than Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. This was my first Agatha Christie novel. My friends and book club have been hyping Agatha Christie up for a while now, so I decided what not a better time to pick up this book. And I was so impressed. I mean, she is the queen of mystery, and it shows. I literally could not guess it. Anytime I thought I had it, I did not have it. And I just love this. One of my favorite parts of this, not only is it taking place solely on a train, but I love how, like, you have all these suspects on the train, but you meet them individually and get a little story of them each, and I really liked that. I gave this 4.5 stars, but honestly, as I read more, it's honestly one of my favorite ones. So after reading those 2 books, I wanted something whimsy. I wanted something in the fantasy genre, so I decided to pick up Once Upon a River by Diane Sitterfield, and it did not disappoint. You should definitely add this to your winter TBR. It's so good. I ended up giving it 4 stars, but in this novel, we are following this townspeople that live close to this river, and one day, this little baby girl shows up on the river. No one knows where she came from or who she is, but she seems to have a magical ability. So there's like magical realism with it, also a little mystery, but I just felt like there was so much depth to these characters, and I was just so intrigued, not only by the mystery, but also the setting, because her writing is so beautiful, her prose are so beautiful, and in this story, the river almost becomes a character itself. I feel so immersed into the writing, and when a book does that, it's definitely something I'm going to be recommending. So, Once Upon a River should be on your winter TBR. I have an in-person book club, and for the month of January, we decided to read Wild Dark Shore. And this book was blowing up last year, and I was really excited to read it. So when it was our pick for January, I was excited. I literally could not put it down at first. The writing was so bingeable, and her prose were so beautiful. I was so captured by the setting as well in this novel. But around 50-60%, the novel seemed to do a switch up for me, and I felt like I wasn't reading the same book anymore, and it kind of lost me, sadly. So I ended up only giving this book 3.5 stars. After reading Once Upon a River, I just wanted more magical realism, historical fantasy, so I decided to pick up no other than A Enchanted River by Rebecca Ross. I am a huge fan of Divine Rivals and Wild Reverence. Those forever will be one of my all-time favorite series, but I have never read anything else by what I was saying my favorite author, or one of my favorite authors. So I was like, it's about time I pick up this little duology. So I read A River Enchanted, and again, her writing is so beautiful. I did give it 5 stars. So good. The yearning in this, I just love good yearning. So if you're in the mood for good yearning and Rebecca Ross's writing, you need to pick up this book. And not only that, but it's also, like I said, a historical fantasy. So if you love historical fantasy or historical fiction at all, this is great because it takes place in like Scotland, Ireland, I believe. It's just perfect. So yeah, if you want something whimsy and fun with a lot of yearning, you should pick up A River Enchanted. So like I've mentioned before, my husband is also a huge reader, so we decided to buddy read a book together in the month of January, and we picked up 1984 by George Orwell. I have to say I did not enjoy this book. I gave it maybe 3 stars, but honestly, thinking back, it's like a 2.5, maybe 2.75. I've heard that Animal Farm is better than this book, so I still will read that book by him because I do have it, but I do not really recommend this book. It is eerie, like the similarities of what happens in this book to where we are in the world now and when this was written, and some people say this was even like the first dystopian. Do not quote me on that. I'm not saying it is. There's a lot of debate on which book was the first dystopian, but that's just what some people say that this was. Take that as you will. But yeah, I just did not enjoy mainly how he wrote his female character. I felt like he did Julia dirty in this, and I just could not enjoy this book just for that simple fact. Luckily, after that book, I picked up one of my favorite books of the year, and that is The Frozen River, and I think this actually probably was my favorite book of January. I loved The River Enchanted, but I think this takes the #1 spot if I had to choose. Gave this one also 5 stars. I just love historical fiction. The more and more I read it, I'm like, yeah, I actually really enjoy this genre, and I definitely plan on picking up more. But I guess by this author, she does a lot of historical fiction, but with like real stories, and she tells women's stories that in history that we don't hear about. But it takes place in Maine, and we are following Martha. She is a midwife in the small town of Maine, and someone ends up getting murdered, and she is trying to figure out who murdered this guy to clear a victim that she knows. I don't think I could say a victim of what. The guy who is accused of it is the one who's been now killed. So she's trying to figure out who murdered them. But you're also just learning a lot about Martha and her story of being a midwife in the 1700s. And I literally could not put this down. This was a page turner in my opinion. I've heard some people say it's slow, but I literally could not stop reading this because I just had to know how this book was going to end, and I really, really wanted a happy ending for my characters, and knowing that this was based off a true story, I wasn't sure if I was going to get that or not. I will tell you, I was bawling my eyes out, and Martha is amazing. Like, the strength that she has, I'm so happy that someone told her story, and I highly recommend this book. And then one thing about me, I love just completing my series. Once I start a series, I just want to binge it. And duologies are the easiest to do that with, so I had to pick up A River Enchanted to just finish off this duology, because why not? And I also gave this 5 stars. I love the conclusion to this duology. It was perfect. This duology is so worth the read, and I think more people should read it. Sadly, I haven't seen many people read it, but I love her writing. So lyrical, so beautiful. I love her characters. They have so much depth, and her romances are so tender, and the yearning in them is so great. Like, none other. Highly recommend this duology. Then I ended January off with another Agatha Christie novel, and then there were none. And so far, I've read 4 Agatha Christie novels. To say this is my favorite, 5 stars. And actually, no, I take that back. I've only read 3 books. This is my favorite out of the 3. And I gave this one 5 stars. This is actually a standalone by her. The first novel is part of the Poirot series, which I am now reading the series in order because I've loved her book so much. And I'm so ready to just like fully dive into her works. But yeah, this one, we are following these people who are invited to a party on this island. And when they get there, people start dying. And they might be connected more than they think they are, and trying to figure out who is killing them, who among them might be killing them. And I just love this. Like, I literally was on the edge of my seat again. I don't know how people say that her books are predictable, because I have yet to predict literally anything at all in the books. Now for February, I read 10 books in the month of February, and the first book I read was Wuthering Heights, and this is a masterpiece. Now it's like one of my all-time favorite novels, or like favorite classics, I should say. I definitely want to read more by the Bronte sisters. I think this is Emily's only novel, but I love the themes in this book and how it deals with obsession and how unhealthy that could be, and how it can cause us to do things that we might not normally do. But I just love how dark and grim this novel was, and I also just love how the setting is the same throughout the book. And another awesome aspect of this book is that we're never told the story by like Heathcliff or Catherine's POV. Like, we're getting the POV of people who just watched the stuff going on. Is any of this true? How fabricated is this story? And I just love a book that gets you thinking about things like that, bigger, broader things. Like, should we take what others tell us from face value, or what? But I highly recommend this book. And since I was on such a classic high, I decided to pick up Emma by Jane Austen. I've read 2 other books by Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility, and I think those 2 I liked more than this one. Oof, don't quote me on that, it's hard to choose. I do definitely plan on reading all of her books and breaking them all in a video for you guys, but I love Emma, and I don't understand the people that don't like Emma, her character. I thought she was so witty and fun. Emma is a little matchmaker, and she is spinster now. She is seen as spinster, but she loves making matches. But now Emma might be finding love herself. I found this to be the easiest Jane Austen novel I've read yet. For how big she is, I could not put her down. I love this book. Emma's dad is quite the character. He was very entertaining, and I just love the setting of this. I felt like it was perfect for, honestly, winter going into spring. Like, we have multiple seasons, but maybe it's because it's when I read it, even though I read it in February, I was kind of having the itch for spring, and this kind of scratched it. So I definitely recommend this for spring, but like just that transition even from winter to spring. If you're a seasonal reader like me, I definitely would recommend picking it up during that time. But yeah, I gave Emma 4.5 stars. Then I was in the mood to actually pick up a book on my Kindle, so I picked up an arc I had, and that was The Faraway Inn by Sarah Beth Durst. And I think this is her second YA fantasy. And I really enjoyed it. Let's see, I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was very cute, whimsy, really good for YA readers. I at times kind of felt a little too old to read it, just since our character is coming out of high school and from a high school breakup. It just was a little immature for me, but the writing was still so much fun, and it was so whimsy and cute. And this, I think, is a good one to read spring into summer, because that's kind of the setting, because it's the end of the school year going into summer, and the vibes just perfectly fit that. So if you're looking for a book to pick up right now, I do recommend her new novel. It came out in April. I still haven't got my copy, and I need to get it because it has some pretty sprayed edges. Next, I have a new all-time favorite author of mine, and that is Courtney Walsh. I decided to pick up My Phony Valentine. My friend and I decided to actually buddy read this one together for the month of February, and I wasn't expecting too much from this. I just thought like, oh, it's going to be a cute, good time. And yes, it was. But also I found myself caring so much about these characters, and also really enjoying them for who they are. And they didn't feel surface level to me at all. But I gave this book 4.5 stars. If I really want to be nitpicky, honestly, probably a 4.75. I'm trying to be a little bit more picky like that. But also, I just love the little bit of Christianity in this. Like, it's not heavy on, like, Christian allegory or anything like that. But I just love when characters are praying or mentions of faith, especially from a man that is so attractive. And I really loved Dallas. But also, I really enjoyed Dallas's Granny. She was a character. I loved her. But yeah, this is fake dating, and it was done so well, and it's a hockey romance. So, really, should I say more? Then, I picked up A Stolen Life of Colette Morciu. Sorry. Please correct me. Can't say it, it's French. But I mainly picked it up because of its cover, and it just seemed fitting to read in February. But it was really good. I did enjoy it. What did I rate it? Let's see. Because I want to say I gave it 4 stars. Not my favorite historical fiction, but I still really enjoyed it. And this novel, it's taking place during World War II in Nazi Germany, and also in present day, I want to say New York. But our character, she grew up in Nazi Germany and then moved to these States, and we're getting her story of what happened and why she is who she is now, and the tragedy of her family. But she comes from a line of like Robin Hood. Like, they say that she is a descendant from Robin Hood. So her mother taught her how to steal jewels, necklaces, rings, any type of jewelry, steal them and sell them and give the profits to the needy or poor. So that is what Colette does, and she's in her old age now, and she has been in search of this bracelet for years that her mother had stolen back for a family that was dear to her. And it was 2 bracelets, but together they did form one, and Colette has one half, and she's been trying to find the other half to give it back to the Jewish family that they knew. So we're kind of getting the backstory of that and her now. And honestly, I'm surprised that this book didn't make me cry because looking back, it is pretty emotional. But I think what stopped it from really making me cry is just the fact that it just seemed too convenient. Like everything just was lining up like, okay, this just seems too perfect for all of this to line up. And I think that kind of put a factor on my reading enjoyment of this novel, but I still highly recommend this book. This next one might seem out of left field. Honestly, it feels out of left field for me, but it was due to pick up Dark Age. Oh my gosh, it was so dark. I mean, it's in the name, so it makes sense. But I don't think I am the target reader for this specific book, but still really epic and super good, and I can respect it for what it is, and I definitely will continue with this series, but I don't know when I will. I kind of want a release date for the next book, and then I think I will finally pick up Lightbringer, though it kills my husband. Then I'm stopping at this book, but I gotta do me, so that's that. And then for my book club in February, we read Here One Moment. This cover is so cute. Why couldn't it have been a really good book? Makes me sad. But in this one, we are following a woman who might be psychic? ? Other than the fact that this lady is predicting people's death on a plane before they take off. Really eerie, and honestly, in my opinion. But even though the chapters were really short, this book felt really long, and each chapter felt really long because it felt like nothing was happening. And I think that's why it's just really not memorable, and I think I gave it 3 stars. But yeah, we are following these characters after their death were predicted, and seeing, is this lady really actually a psychic? But yeah, if you're into books like that, then I say pick this up. If that doesn't sound like your kind of book, yeah, I would not recommend it. But after that, I picked up a banger of a book. I will say in my top 5 of books that I have ever read, and that is Anne of Green Gables. And I'm so mad at myself for taking so long to read this book. So if it's on your TBR and it's been on your TBR for years, this is your sign. Go pick it up, because you're gonna be mad at yourself that you didn't pick it up sooner. Go pick up Anne of Green Gables. There you go. There's my lower on it. This next one, I only recommend if you're in the mood to cry and just have something destroy you. But also, if you're a mother, I warn you, if you're sensitive to child death, do not pick up this book because it is very heavy. And that book is Hammett. Oh my gosh. This book had me sobbing. And then I watched the movie with my husband, and I was sobbing again, and just reminded truly my love for this book. 5 stars. I think this would have been my favorite book of the month in February if I hadn't read Anne of Green Gables. I love them and give them 5 stars for completely different reasons. But yeah, this book destroyed me. As you know, Hammett dies. It's not a spoiler. That's the whole point of the Shakespeare play Hamlet. You didn't know this is inspired by that play Hamlet. And that's the dad in this novel is Shakespeare. It's not said flat out that he is Shakespeare, but he's Shakespeare. He wrote Hamlet. His son death inspired him to write the play Hamlet. So we have Hammett. But there's a quote by the mother after she loses her son, and it literally destroyed me. I had to put the book down and walk away for a while. It's that heavy. So if you are a mother, I do say go into this book with caution. But I love this book, and I think I will remember this book till my time comes, because this book was just that good, and I think it's definitely worth a read. And then after reading such a heavy book, I was like, I need something cute, light, and fluffy. And it's around Valentine's Day, so I decided to pick up Picking Daisies on Sunday. I gave it 2 stars. Honestly, I should have DNF'd it. But as I was reading, I'm like, this book has to get better. There's no way it's gonna be like this. No, everyone loves it. Everyone has raved about it for years. I don't recommend it. I wish I DNF'd it. Honestly, I'm not even gonna say more about it because I didn't like it. It seemed very immature, and yeah, don't recommend. Since that cute, fluffy, light romance book was a huge disappointment and I was still in the mood for a novel like that, I went back to Courtney Walsh, her little standalone series. This is a book 2 after My Phony Valentine, My Lucky Charm, and it's just as good as the first one. I would actually have to say the first one is, I like it more, but it's so hard to compare them because they are just both perfect. This is another hockey romance, super cute. We got a single father, which I love, a man who is just all for his kids and being there and showing up for them. I love a good dad. And we have our main female character. She is hired to help him change his image and adjust stuff because he hasn't had the best record on and off of the hot ice. But so it's kind of like work rivals because he doesn't want her to help him. But this is so cute and so sweet, and I just love how she writes such strong but tender men. So I highly recommend My Lucky Charm. And then I decided in the month of March to go ahead and start reading the Poirot series in order by Agatha Christie. So I read The Mysterious Affairs at Styles. This is the first book in the series, and I gave it 4.5 stars. I don't know, my rating on this might change. Actually, I gave it 4 stars, but I don't know, my rating might change on it as I read more of her books, because I'm kind of rating these, I want to rate these guys like against each other than versus like rating them against the other books I'm reading. I just feel like I want to rate Agatha Christie in her own little bubble. So this right now is sitting at a 4 star. We'll see if that changes. And then Haley Pham's new book came out, so of course I had to pick it up, Just Friends. And I don't understand all the hate this book is getting. If you don't like it, that's fine. But I feel like this book has been getting blasted with hate, and I just don't understand. This is her first novel. Like, can we give some grace, please? I still felt like it was good. I gave it 3.5 stars. I see what she was trying to do, and I see, you know, her potential. It's not my favorite romance, and did I have issues with it? Yes. Did I find it really flowery? Yes, but it's her first novel. She is finding her voice, so it makes sense. So give the girl some grace. I really enjoyed this book, and I still would recommend it for the summertime. It is super cute, so I do recommend this. And then I picked up Angus Obart Mythical Cat Shelter, and this book did not disappoint. This was just so fun. Don't take it all serious. Like, this is just a fun, whimsical time, and I highly recommend it. But yeah, we are following Agnes, and she has a cat shelter. She had to relocate her cat shelter after a magician almost ended the world and destroyed her previous cat shelter. And she is coming to find out that her new cat shelter, her landlord, is a magician, and she hates magicians and hates magic. But I loved the story, and I thought it was so unique and whimsical. It actually became my favorite book of March. But yeah, I gave this book 5 stars. And not only am I on the amazing journey of Agatha Christie, but I decided to pick up another cozy mystery series, and that is no other than The Tale on Hilltop Farm. And no one talks about these books, and I think that's a crime. If you like cozy mystery, you should pick up this book. If you like immersive reading, like that lines up with the seasons, I would definitely say this is a good one to pick up in spring, because the majority of the books seem to take place in spring and summer, but this first one does take place in October. So if you want to dip your toes into the series, I highly recommend picking up the first book in fall. But in this novel, our main character is no other than Beatrice Potter, and we are following her. And also, if you don't know, Beatrice Potter is the one who wrote Peter Rabbit. Very beloved children novels. We are following her in the English countryside as she is solving murders. And not only do we get her POV, but we get the animals' POV, and I am a sucker for talking animals. And they are like also trying to solve these mysteries. But this first one is we're dealing with a missing painting or trying to find the missing painting, and some other things also might be going missing in the town of Sorry. But yeah, I love these. I've given all of them 4 stars, just because honestly I would like a little bit more from the writing, but I still really much enjoy these. I think they're so cozy and so cute. And then I was getting that classic itch again. I wanted to read another classic novel. So I decided to pick up one I hadn't seen really anything ever on before, and that is Far From the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. And may I say that this is the best book to pick up in spring. Like this, when I think of his descriptions and stuff, like spring, it matches spring. This book is spring. So if you want a good classic to read this spring, I highly recommend Far From the Madding Crowd. And honestly, the more I read classics, like when I read Wuthering Heights and Emma and this one, I'm like finding myself laughing. I'm like, man, these people back then actually had a sense of humor. Like maybe they're not meaning to or whatever, but I am laughing so much while reading these books. And it's just such a joy to be able to laugh when the writing seems so serious and maybe even harder to get through at times. But I highly recommend this one. I knew this was a romance, but it wasn't the kind of romance I was expecting. And if you have read it, the opening part of the story, honestly, so shocking and so jarring, honestly. Like, if you know, you know, and I highly recommend. So good. And honestly, I was a little bit intimidated by the writing, but more and more I read it, the easier it got, and I didn't find it too difficult. So if this seems intimidating to you, this is your sign to pick it up, because it's really not that bad. And then I decided just to continue with the Hilltop Farm series. And the next one in that series is The Tale of Holly Howe. And I, again, really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. This one actually does take place in spring specifically. And I just think these are the best books to read this in spring. This one, like even the cover, it's just so springy. But in this one, we have someone who is sick, and there might be some poisoning going on. So Miss Beatrice is finding herself accidentally once again, because she's not purposely trying to solve these mysteries. She's just accidentally solving them. She's in the right places at the right time. This one, we have someone poisoning someone, and we're trying to figure out who is poisoning this person. Is this person being poisoned? And then you also just have Beatrice making connections with other people in the village, and I just love meeting these new characters and watching her relationships grow. And we get a little bit more about Beatrice Potter herself and her own personal story in this one, and that continues throughout the novels, and I really enjoy it, and I really look forward to that, like seeing where she's at in life each time I pick up one of these books. It's hard for me to believe I have 2 more books to talk about. Wow, I have been yapping for a while. The next book, it was my book club book for March, and that was The Heir Apparent. I had really high hopes for this book. I was thinking 4.5 stars. It ended up being a 3.5 star book. Still enjoyed it. I still would recommend it to the right person. Like if you are a lover of Princess Diana, and you agree what happened to her was cruel and unfair and justice shall be served, I say pick up this book. To me, I heard it was like a Princess Diary retelling, and no, it was more of a retelling on Princess Diana. And I wish I knew that going into it, because I was a little let down, because I was looking for something more witty and fun, and this one just was a little bit more serious, but I still enjoyed it. I just found it way too long. It dragged a lot in the beginning for me. Like the pacing seemed way off, and then the ending seemed way rushed. So with this novel, a huge part of it was the pacing. And to finally end this quarterly wrap-up video, I have How to Write a Love Story by Catherine Walsh. I definitely think this is a great one to pick up for the summer, because it does take place in Ireland during a heat wave. and I just felt like she did a great job of describing that, and I felt like I was there in a heat wave in Ireland. In this book, we are following a main character. She has recently lost her father, and she is to finish writing his high fantasy series that is so beloved, and she just feels so lost because she's in the thick of it with grief, and she doesn't think she can do it. She doesn't think she's a good writer, so they send someone to help her, encourage her to finish his book. And the banter with them was so much fun. That's one thing I loved about this book that really made it for me, was the banter. There was stuff I feel like it was lacking, but because of the cute banter and just Kira's person and her feeling so real, I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I just was wanting more from the writing aspect of her, writing and finishing this fantasy. I wanted more, what is this fantasy series, the writing process a little bit more, but I definitely would still recommend this book. It was great. Now I'm looking over at the books and I'm like, I don't want to put these away. There's a lot of books to put away. But yeah, that is my quarterly wrap up for 2026, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye.